Seahawks at Titans.
I never take huge favorites. I'm breaking my rule. Seattle minus 13.5 at Tennessee. Tennessee's 0-5 at home. 6 of their losses are by over 10. Seattle outgained the Rams by 165 points, outplayed them the final 3 quarters, almost won with 4 picks. They're a great road team, 11-2, because defense and running games travel. Seattle does both well. Sam Darnold, despite the picks, PFF has him ranked number 2. Tennessee's atrocious. Worst point differential in the league. They do nothing right. I think the locker room may be lost at this point. I hate taking huge favorites. Seattle wins and covers 31-13.
All right, let's talk about the Seattle Seahawks. I'm genuinely intrigued to see their response this week. This is actually a significant contest, and allow me to elaborate on why. Seattle, I'm a believer in what you're building. I think this team has immense potential, and I've been vocal about considering them among the top-tier squads in the league. I'm a major proponent of the Mike Macdonald coaching regime, the offensive direction under Clint Kubiak, and the resurgence of Sam Darnold. Obviously, the talent is there with playmakers like Jackson Smith and Jigba and the rest of the offensive weapons, complemented by a formidable defensive unit. Their last outing was a peculiar, frustrating loss to the Los Angeles Rams, a game I argued contained several positive takeaways. If you were solely focused on Sam Darnold's performance and the overall offensive inconsistency, you'd be right to feel unsettled about what it means for their trajectory. That's a fair initial reaction, and we've already dissected that aspect. My primary argument, however, was that despite it not being their best performance, a tough, physical divisional battle against another excellent team, they were still within a field goal of winning. 2 high-caliber teams went blow for blow. Seattle did not showcase its optimal form, turned the ball over repeatedly, and couldn't muster a successful final drive. Yet they were still a single kick away from victory. That, to me, despite the clear imperfections, generated a considerable amount of optimism. Now, following that defeat, you have to imagine the atmosphere in that locker room is one of frustration and irritation. They will be hungry for retribution. It's a concept analysts like Colin Cowherd have discussed in the past. When a team endures an embarrassing or particularly grating loss, there's a tendency for them to respond with a massive effort the following week. Now, I wouldn't equate losing to the Rams with suffering a defeat to a bottom feeder like the Tennessee Titans. The latter would likely trigger an all-out attack mode mentality. However, I do believe that loss, and specifically the manner in which it unfolded, not just the final score, but the self-inflicted wounds and missed opportunities, left a feeling of disgust. I'm excited to see how this Seattle team answers that challenge. This is the fascinating part of analyzing a new, ascending contender. It's different from evaluating established powers like the Eagles, Chiefs, Bills, or Ravens. Don't get me wrong, those teams also have to prove themselves weekly, but we have a more solidified, long-term view of their identity and what to expect from them based on years of evidence. If Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs turned the ball over repeatedly in a tough loss and were now facing an inferior opponent, I wouldn't necessarily need to see a 40-point blowout to be convinced, but I would certainly feel uneasy if they were in a dogfight in the fourth quarter against a team like the Titans. With the Seahawks, I'm still in the process of figuring out what to look for. I don't necessarily need them to hang 31 points on the board, but at the same time, you do want to see a level of domination. You want to witness the absolute definition of a team in complete control of a football game. You want to avoid those confusing scenarios where you're thinking, okay, it's 14-10 heading into the third quarter. I feel like the Seahawks are the better team and are controlling the flow, but why aren't they pulling away? Why have they been 2 for 6 on third down since the second quarter? What's happening right now? Those kinds of moments are only somewhat acceptable to me in very specific circumstances, and my opinion on this wavers. Sometimes we see games like that where it's weirdly close for far too long, and then it gets completely blown open in the second half. You end up with a final score that suggests a blowout, and you think, all right, this game wasn't actually close. It's one of those strange 10-7 affairs at halftime, and then in the blink of an eye, it's 35-10. You're left wondering what switch was flipped. However, that dramatic shift is often precipitated by the opposing team's offense making critical mistakes, a sudden cascade of turnovers, a monumental special teams play. It's rare that it happens purely because the favored team's offense suddenly finds a relentless rhythm while their defense starts forcing consecutive 3-and-outs. Usually, it's a more profound, often chaotic event that alters the game's momentum, which can slightly twist the conclusion you draw. Desperate, struggling teams sometimes start taking outrageous risks when they're hanging around, going for it on fourth down deep in their own territory, launching deep shots, and it either spectacularly fails or, against the odds, succeeds. You watch it and think they probably should have just stuck to their original, more conservative game plan. What I truly want to see from Seattle is a bounce-back performance defined by intensity. A game where you look at that Seahawks squad and see a group that is prepared, fully engaged, laser-focused, and playing with fire. I want to see them execute high-quality, disciplined football. I want their defense to look aggressive and suffocating. I want Sam Darnold to look comfortable, confident, and in command. This should be one of those games where they win so decisively and methodically that the post-game analysis is straightforward. It was a clean, convincing, bounce-back victory. Now, it's against the Tennessee Titans, so the context is important. A 31-13 win isn't definitive proof that they are a championship juggernaut. It's more about reinforcing the positive traits they've already shown. It never hurts to continue building that body of evidence. For a team in the early stages of establishing a new identity, like the Seattle Seahawks, you need these kinds of performances to continually reinforce the standard. I often find myself debating this point with fans in the comment sections. Some are quick to assert, this team knows exactly who they are. Whether it's about the Seahawks or other fan bases, I push back. No, a team like this is still very much in the process of figuring out their identity. Yes, there is confidence in the locker room, but legitimate questions remain. There is a tangible, significant difference between a team that has a proven track record of success and a team that is still building toward it. This is the massive inherent advantage that a squad like the Los Angeles Rams possesses, that the Philadelphia Eagles have, that the Kansas City Chiefs enjoy. They have that reservoir of experience and proven performance that teams like the New England Patriots, the Indianapolis Colts, or even the Detroit Lions are still drawing from. This isn't solely about winning a Super Bowl either. There can be a strong belief in teams like the Lions, Bills, or Ravens based on recent playoff runs or sustained regular season success. The Seahawks haven't yet reached that level of established credibility. They haven't done it yet. This is completely understandable and logical. I believe you continue to cultivate that identity. You continue to work the soil to become that team by systematically and convincingly handling opponents like the Tennessee Titans. You do it in a strong, authoritative manner. This is precisely why we start to question other teams, even successful ones, when they have performances that are tighter than anticipated. Think about the Chiefs last season. They made it to the Super Bowl, but people struggled with why they had such difficult, nail-biting games against teams like the Panthers, or why a contest with the Raiders got uncomfortably close. You'd watch and wonder, what's going on here? We see it with the Packers this year. Why was that game against the Cardinals so tense? We see it with the Ravens this season. Why did they allow a team led by a rookie quarterback to hang around and nearly pull off an upset? You acknowledge the opponent has a good defense, you factor in injuries and the nature of divisional games, but you're still left thinking, this was a gotta-have-it moment, and it was far too close for comfort. We saw a similar sentiment with the Bills in their recent game against the Texans. Yes, the Houston defense is legitimate, but the ease with which Davis Mills and that offense moved the ball at times gave you pause. It leaves you with a feeling of uncertainty. So, you are constantly looking for these reinforcing performances. And I promise you, the team itself needs this. The coaching staff needs it. Players like Sam Darnold and Jackson Smith-Njigba need it. These are not invincible entities. They are human beings who thrive on confidence and validation. They need these wins to solidify their belief, to provide a psychological boost, and to cement their collective identity. That is ultimately what I am searching for in this upcoming game. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. What is your perspective on the Seattle Seahawks being such substantial favorites? A whopping 13.5 points. Again, I don't focus on the spread itself, but it clearly indicates they are overwhelmingly expected to win big against the Tennessee Titans. Let me know your opinions in the comments section below. I read every single comment, So whether you find yourself in agreement with me or you think I'm completely off base, let me know. We can get into some lively discussions. We can engage in some spirited debates. But ultimately, let's remember to have some fun with it all. Please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to have you as a part of it. I want to build something that we all feel genuinely connected to, something we're truly excited and proud to be involved in. I believe we are well on our way to achieving that. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it genuinely helps with the visibility and the platform's algorithm. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you all next time.